In this nugget, we're going to talk about solving complex problems. Let's get to it. Let me grab Mr. Pen. I got my other hat, my do good work hat, so let's do some good work. Products exist in unpredictable, complex environments. Easy example right now, AI. It has exploded everywhere. NVIDIA stock is through the roof, and they're now looking at all of these massive data centers to store all of this information. And as soon as you start building all of these massive data storage places, what about the power consumption? Nuclear power, or nuclear, as a favorite past president likes to say, is back in the forefront. So it's a very complex problem. Excuse my stuttering. It just, the ramifications and the amplification of the AI era is going to be staggering. Just look at some of the jobs that are coming out too, and the pay for some of those jobs. AI is crazy, and it is still very complex for most people. That's an easy one. And the cool thing about it is, it means everything can't be known up front. That would make it simple. And if it were simple, it wouldn't be that big a deal. You would need a light framework with lots of autonomy and trust to make it happen. You could stick with a very rigid, process-driven, step-by-step pace to deal with it. There are plenty of times when simple is best, but when you're trying to solve complex problems, Scrum is probably going to be your answer, or something Scrum-like. And we're going to get back to Scrum-like soon enough. Small experiments reduce the cost of failure. Think about how fast the technology is moving right now. It might be 2, 3, 4, 5 years before any high-tech product gets done. But look how fast the marketplace around it has transformed on that journey. If you're not getting stuff to market now, sometimes 3, 6, 9 months or a year, you're completely behind the power curve of everyone else's competitor products. So small experiments can help you reduce the cost of that failure. Here's another easy example. There was a time when I would do land navigation and I would go from point A to point B, just like this. Now that seems pretty easy, but sometimes those distances are 10 miles. Do you think I simply shot an azimuth from my known location and just followed it along and never checked it again? Because that's completely ridiculous. What I would do is I would go 500 meters and then reshoot my azimuth. Pick a point out there that I could go to, and then go another 500 meters and another 500 meters, or maybe 250 meters if the vegetation was dense. And instead of ending up in a straight line, what I normally ended up doing was something like this. And it got me a lot further along on a straighter path than trying to go longer distances. Because if I do it from a longer distance, what almost inevitably happens is I will drift to the right, because I'm right-hand dominant, and that's just how that happens. So small experiments, small adjustments. And as I'm fond of saying, small variances, small adjustments. Large variances, huge adjustments. So smaller is going to be better here. Let me get rid of some of this nonsense. All right, which means teams solve problems iteratively, not linearly. They iterate. They solve a little bit at a time, instead of trying to solve this one and then going all the way out there and solving it. You know that. That's why we have shorter feedback loops. And because of that, because we're doing it iteratively, risk also normally declines. You're welcome. And I feel like I've said that before. Complexity also demands collaboration across perspectives, meaning we've all got to be on the same page. At the C-suite, they can't think we're doing waterfall, and the developers can't think we're doing something else. And then there's a project manager over here on a hybrid project. We all have to be on the same page, because if we're not on the same page, we're going to increase the complexity of what we're trying to do. We're going to add process steps that are unnecessary. We're going to do things that move us away from Scrum over to dumb. And I don't want to do that. Let's keep going. Complexity requires probabilistic forecast. Probabilistic, a range of forecast. Here's an easy probabilistic forecast. We have somewhere between a 10 and 95% confidence level of getting this done by any particular time. And if I pick those dates, I can watch as my confidence level goes up. Deterministic means we've determined it's going to be August 8th. Yeah, in a perfect world, when things are simple and everything is well known, that works quite well, but not in Scrum. And trust me, I've been on plenty of waterfall, predictive type projects where they've put a line in the sand and said, this is the date, and it never shows up. Or it shows up real late. You know what I mean. Flexibility is going to be more valuable than rigid planning. Why? Because if you are rigid, you are less adaptive. And we already know about TIA, transparency, inspection, and adaptation, empiricism en masse. And customers often don't know what they want until they see it. I've had this conversation before too. Tell me what you want it to do. Here's what I want it to do. Tell me what problem you're trying to solve. Do you know what it looks like? Do you know what it sounds like? Do you know how big it is? Do you know how long, tall, short, width, weight, color? Do you know the AC, DC power input, output? Do you know any of that stuff? No, I only know what I want it to do. Okay, that's a start. So we have our compass 360 degrees, and through experimentation, we will finally get it down to 1 or 2 degrees, and we will go in that direction. And trust me, if you've never had one of these customers, you've been lucky. It's only a matter of time before you do. And like we said, complexity requires adaptability and innovation. If you can't adapt, you better stick to doing things that are real simple, because you're never going to survive here. Well, where's the product owner tie into all this? Let me try yellow. The product owner acknowledges complexity in competitive markets and experiments for opportunity. Remember, they're doing market surveys, they're getting end user feedback, they're doing all kinds of things to make sure that the value they're pushing out there is the value that's being asked for. Let me move my face. And if it's not, then they will shift to the value that's being asked for. Again, they're doing this just like I was, moving towards that sweet spot. Vision provides direction and adapts as customer discovery exposes new issues. I forgot a why there. Yeah, maybe this was the trend this week, but what happened next week or last week, or what has been the trend? Think about those, must-haves, could-haves, would-haves, won't-haves. We shouldn't be delivering any could-haves or won't-haves if they are absolutely not asking for it. And that's just one easy one. The product owner also slices features into smaller increments to test the theories about value or the hypotheses. Think about the minimum viable product. What is it? Maybe we figure out what those must-haves are, and a couple of those, what are those really good ones? Man, my brain just skipped a beat. Whatever the MVP is, we kick that out, and we get some feedback from our customers to see what they like, what they love, and what they absolutely hate. And then sprint planning balances the what, that's in the sprint backlog, with the how. That's how the developers are delivering it. There's a balancing act there, but it's all moving towards a sprint goal. And each sprint goal, like I was just saying, is framed as a step towards reducing uncertainty. Because the closer we get to what the customer really needs, the greater our likelihood of delivering exactly what they needed and what they wanted. There's an intersection between want and need. We just have to figure out where it is. And at the intersection, value. All right, let's stop right there. When we come back, we're going to drive on with our case study with the galactic empire adjacent regional bad guy group.